Omni Sport Breakfast with MKT and Kevin McCollum on Omni Sport Africa.
All right, we're going to get into our Mampara of the week. Kev, what we got this week?
I'd forgotten about Sundowns. I would just add them to the list. Because I see Motsepe Jr. is trying to justify Miguel Cardoso coming in by saying, but whenever Jurgen Klopp started at Liverpool, he didn't have a great CV, but he left a legend. And just they're backing up, there's more to a CV than just winning.
Yeah.
It's absolutely daft. This guy has got no pedigree at all. He starts blaming with regard to all the teams that he coached, he didn't believe he had all the tools he might have needed. I don't understand what's going on there.
Well, that analogy doesn't work. Jurgen Klopp destabilized the greatest dynasty Germany's ever seen. Not only did he win the league, he won the cup. And if you remember, they lost in the Champions League final to one of the most loaded Bayern Munich teams of all times. Arjen Robben flicks that goal past the keeper, right? Bayern Munich had like Ribéry, and that was like prime Javi Martinez at centre back. I mean, they were Philippe Lahm. That was like outside of that late 90s dynasty with Lothar Matthäus. That with Arjen Robben and Frank Ribéry, like, what are we talking about up top there? You know, like Cruz, just before Cruz moved over, Müller. I mean, they lost that Champions League final, and he won German Cup. So that one doesn't work. Jurgen Klopp already had won in an impossible situation.
Yeah, and then he came into a club that was struggling and turned them around. This guy's not coming into a club that's struggling, and he's got a huge CV because that CV, he's a job hopper. I mean, he doesn't stay around for very long. It's not. I mean, we used to get those people with the Star. Some people used to come in, give CVs, and I was on some of the interviewing panels, and they got the great CV, and they'd been at a lot of top places, but they hadn't been there for very long. So then you ask questions, why didn't you stay around? Why did you not hang around? I want to know how much they're going to have to pay in compensation to the former coach, because he was on 700,000 a month from what I believe.
Goodness gracious. I mean, pocket change, a rounding error for Patrice Motsepe. But you know what Sundowns are going to realize? A friend of mine just went through a life situation, and this is a real story. In fact, 2 days ago, it came up. So he got with this woman, right? She was somebody else's wife at the time.
Ooh.
And, adults do what they do. Then, and as you know, I told him, I said, here's the thing, Chief. Fine, you've got her now. She's beautiful, no doubt. If she did it to him, why don't you think she'll do it to you? And Sundowns must be very careful with Cardoso. If the guy was at clubs for 1 year at a time, there's a reason. If he did it to them, I don't know why you think once you get him inside your house, it'll be any different. And hey, this is what happens with very rich men, though, and men in general. We think we know better until we've got her in-house, and then jiggy, and now she's the witch. And by the way, they're breaking up now, the guy I'm telling you about. Because, you should ask why. That's the really interesting part. She got with someone else who he knows. So so Sundowns must be very careful. People don't change.
Yeah, I think this guy won't last the season. I can't see it, and they keep talking him up. How long until he says I don't have the tools?
I need another 10 million rand player. Yeah. All right, let's get into Mampara of the weekend. Okay. Sundowns might be added to the list. Special nominees. Yeah,
I've gone with David Cute, the referee. It's quite obvious. I mean, they finally the Professional Game Officials Association has taken action against him. He's now been suspended. Basically, he's dismissed. He's out of a job. We all know what happened there when he called Liverpool Scarsers in a very derogatory way, suggested that Jurgen Klopp was a effing C, or a German C.
Yes.
I'm not going to use the word.
See you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday. Bust sniffing a white powder, which no one knows. That obviously it's just sherbet.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the devil's dandruff.
No,
not at all.
It's not the sugar.
And then there was another exchange we talked about booking the Leeds defender. So he's gone. He's a stain, and it's a reputation problem for Liverpool, for football in England at the moment. I think he just needs to go away and reassess his life, because he obviously has issues behind doors.
You know, the thing about England is it's such a tiny place. I know it's got a lot of people, but it's a tiny island. Like, what does he do now? And you know, British people don't really travel that well. Like they have this island mentality. And once they got to go, like for them, Spain is like, my God, we need a holiday from that holiday. It's miles away. Whereas South Africans, you go from Johannesburg to Cape Town, no problem. It's like people move all the time. Like, what's he gonna do? What else is he capable of doing?
Yeah, well, he'll probably have to go to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, they'll take him.
A big slow spiral into nothingness. Or Steven Gerrard.
Although he'll go, my paycheck is going to be times 10.
Yeah.
And great, we don't think much of the Western world anyway. Come and join us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect.
And he can call the skies all the names he wants over there. Although Steven Gerrard might pop around and have a chat about it.
Just don't say it when Gerard's around.
And I'm glad they resolved it the way they did, and I'm glad they actually took their time about it. And I am glad that they are looking after his mental health as well. They're still keeping him on board and still staying in touch. And you said the same thing with your Russian team whenever you left them. So that's good. So he's just a slight Mampara. I'm not going hard on him, but he's in the list because of what he did.
Kev, I think you're making a good point here, is that sometimes we punish people and we live, our culture is becoming sort of persecution, right? And there's almost no room to rehabilitate a person over time. Now, listen, people are who they are. People may not change, but people are capable of evolving. I don't know if the society we live in is capable of going, hey, David Coote, you might be able to be a good husband, brother, whatever it may be one day. Let's see where it goes, I guess. It's also up to him. He's going to have to do some major internal work.
Yeah, and as we said yesterday, don't do in private what you won't do in public.
Well said.
Cool. Next, I've got to bring up Kaiser Chiefs. And Du told me to.
It kills me. It kills me to hear it. It kills me to see their name on the list. It really does.
Losing 2-0 to Polokwane City, what is going on there, man? And Nabi's looked good. I think he said, I'm no Jose Mourinho, which we know.
Yeah, that's true. We've seen the results.
See Miguel Cardoso saying, well, maybe I am. and Nabi isn't a sexy referee, sexy coach. But man, after 8 of the 30 matches, they're down in 9th with just 11 points. They've got the worst. The team's only scored 12 occasions and they conceded the same number of goals. And I'm reading today and a couple of things. They're looking at spending 50 million in January.
5-0.
5-0. A couple of guys I hadn't heard of. The guy called Fiston Mayele.
Yeah.
I don't know where he's from. He's playing for Pyramids FC. Okay.
Hopefully it's not a pyramid scheme.
Scored
50 million.
So he's going to be going for 1.2 million, 22.5 million rand. Faisal Saloom, he is rated at 1.8 million, but he'll probably play more. He's got 37 caps for the mighty Tanzania.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure about that. They're not going to pay 13 million for that, is it? And then go down, and they want Osman Apollos from Polokwane City, the 23-year-old. I think, but they tried to get him last season, didn't they?
They did, and some stuff went down there. There's a whole, Listen, I'm from Polokwane. Actually, I weirdly know too much about that story. Apollos, there's a lot going on around Apollos. There's a lot going on.
Just people and family.
People fingers in the cookie jar. They actually screwed up the transfer for him. It wasn't Chiefs. There was a whole thing.
So black tax, white tax, every tax.
No, dickheads.
Oh, dickhead tax.
Dickhead tax where you've got to, and he's unable to cut them out, and there's a lot going on. I mean, he's a super player. I get it from Chiefs. Can't beat them. Bring them in-house.
Yeah. And anybody wants to comment on this, please do it on the YouTube channel underneath it. Give us your Mamparas and tell me we're right in doing Kaiser Chiefs. Yeah.
Absolutely. So again, hit us up on social media, X, Instagram, TikTok, and as Kevin said in the YouTube comments, social media is of course Omni Audio Africa, Omni Audio on Facebook. Otherwise, omniaudio.africa if you want to catch those podcasts. We're going to come back in 60 seconds, and we're going to continue with Mampara of the weekend. So far, we've got David Coote. And then we've got those bloody Kaiser Chiefs guys. Hysterical. It kills me. It kills me to hear Kaiser Chiefs on this list. I mean, it really, really irks me. 60 seconds, we'll carry on. Mampara of the week.
Omni Sport Breakfast with MKT and Kevin McCollum.
All right, two contenders, Kaiser Chiefs, David Coote. Who else we got for Mampara of the week?
So I know it's wrong to kick a man when he's down and in hospital. So, but Michael Antonio, the West Ham striker, crashed his car, the Ferrari, £260,000 Ferrari, which is probably more than Sundowns pay the new coach in a week. But yeah, he crashed at speed. So the Sun are reporting the police have said that there was no drug or alcohol involved, so he was quite clean, and there's no other car involved. So the only thing can be speed. I mean, he must have been sending it. And he's got previous in this, on Christmas Day, I think 2019, he's dressed up like a snowman in his Lamborghini Hussan, which is a £210,000 car, driving around. It's winter. The roads are slippery in London. So basically, this is what he said. He told thegoal.com. Basically, yeah, slippery. Obviously, in a car, in my car, it holds corners nicely. So I'm going like 30, maybe 35, maybe 40, 50 on a 30 road. So he's already said I'm going over the limit. It holds corners, so I'm thinking, I don't even need to brake. I just need to go around the corner. Sick car, isn't going around, it skids. So I shit myself and I slam on the brakes. Doesn't even remember, but he saw smoke coming in. Next thing, he's in a garden off a house. The engine's in the back. He's seeing smoke come out the front of the car. He thinks the car is going to blow up, so he jumps out the passenger window. He still played the next day. He played 90 minutes the Boxing Day match, set up Robert Snodgrass, but they still lost 2-1 to Palace. But so he said he started confiscating people's phones, running around, taking their phones out of their hands because they were videoing him. And he said, no, we can't get this side. But the only person whose phone he didn't take was the owner of the house. And she came out and she started blogging about it. So, and it wasn't even her garden, man. Yeah. She lives on the corner, but her garden was on that side. So it wasn't even her house, but she still... some guy I spoke to afterwards, it's his garden. He said, oh, that's okay. And she's like, oh, a Lamborghini landed in my garden. So she stole the story last year again for the second time. So I think she might be selling it again.
Good for her.
But Michael Antonio, please, man, you're a professional. You've got to... His career is... West Ham now going to offer him a contract for another year because that's what he probably needs, but he won't be playing for the rest of the year.
Well, they say he'll be out for at least a year, and we saw all the commiserations come out. I mean...
Yeah, it makes me... it made me angry, to be quite honest with you.
Look, as somebody who's messed up a lot in my life, it's... I find it very difficult to be empathetic towards him because he's brought this on himself. I could understand if somebody had crashed into him, and to be honest, I've got a little bit... I know people in his circle, and I know people that know him. He likes a good time. So he loves a good time. So I don't know, you're saying there's no alcohol or drugs involved. Great. But again, I can't forgive you when it's the second time. I just can't. And I've messed up in my life. Yeah. Until you're willing to say, it's my fault, the world shouldn't feel sorry for you. I'm sorry. That's the position I hold. So... He's not dead. He's still a multi-millionaire. Mm-hmm. And he brought this on himself. I'm not doing empathy where we're crying for a millionaire who's brought it on himself because no one feels sorry for poor people. So I'm not feeling sorry for a millionaire who's brought it on himself. I'm with you, Kevin. I'm like, get it together, son.
Yeah, buy a Beetle, buy a slow car.
You're not, also, when I can forgive it. You are 19 and you have that kind of money.
Yeah.
You're a 30-year-old man.
34.
Yeah, you're a 34-year-old man. Get it together. You're not 20 anymore. If you're still acting like that, fine. You get here's the truth about life. You get what you deserve. Yeah. If you're middle class and above, you get the life you deserve. So Mikel Antonio.
Yeah, you look at someone like Ryan Giggs used to have one of those cars, and he got rid of it. So he couldn't figure out why having perpetual hamstring injuries. Yeah. And he went to a physiotherapist, and the physiotherapist said, it's your car. Basically, it's your car. It's the way you're sitting. You stretched out all the time because he bought himself an SUV.
Smart.
Of course, it was probably Mercedes-Benz with big mags and maybe an aerofoil at the top.
and room for someone's wife at the back. And that's all.
Not his brother's wife.
Yeah, well. By the way, Ryan Giggs' brother sold that pretty well. He's made a lot of money out of Heartache.
Well, I'm not going to say good for him. Maybe your mate could sell that story.
That's a good point. Although problem is he was also the cuckolder who got cuckolded now.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's going to get much empathy. Roddy was just...
He's the loser's loser now.
That is exactly what he is. Mikel Antonio, our next contender for Mampara of the week. What else we got?
We got Sir Jam Ratcliffe. He's creating Armageddon at Manchester United, and it's as in Armageddon out of here. Yeah. And he is like, he's acting like a rat, and he's pushing United right towards the edge of a cliff.
Yeah.
They're in a world of pain, world of hurt. Getting rid of Dan Ashworth after 5 months, after you'd waited 6 months or 5 months while he was on gardening leave from Newcastle to get him, and then deciding he wasn't what you wanted. Surely you do do your due diligence,
Yeah.
check up, and you find out what sort of guy he is. And what he didn't realize that this guy he's not a transfer guru. He doesn't do that sort of thing. He's the guy that he organizes structures. He organizes the training. So he gets that all right. And that's what they wanted. James Wilcox, who they've got from Southampton, as technical director, I think he may be taking over. But Dan Ashworth isn't a very, what's the right word? He's not a very dynamic guy.
Sure.
He's a very much a
bureaucratic.
He's a worker.
Yeah.
He's a worker and he gets structures right and things like that. And this guy was obviously looking, he was probably acting like Sundance. By getting rid of the coach and getting rid in like a flashy guy. Everybody wants Pep. Everybody wants Jurgen Klopp. Nobody thought we were going to get Arne Slot at Liverpool.
True.
And he was the boring man we actually needed.
Yeah.
He was the boring man. Said, "This, what do you do at night? I read tactics." And in the morning, I read tactics. And what do you read on the toilet? Tactics.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's what he does. And he knows he's boring, but he's funny and he's calm and he's collected. But everybody's looking for sexy, and sexy doesn't always win it.
You know where I would be if I'm Man United right now? Number one, I think we've all been here in life, man or woman, is that if you're going through some stuff and you're spiraling a little bit down, the first thing you got to do, right, is accept the reality of where you are. I don't think, because I still hear people like Gary Neville saying, we're Man United. What the bloody hell does that mean? Like, you haven't won the league since 2010. Do you understand? It's going to be 15 years now without Man United winning the league. Kevin,
just 15 more to go.
That's long live Kevin says. Kevin says, hey, Liverpool have been there themselves. It took 30 years until the Messiah came from Germany and saved them. But 15 years. So Jim must stop this. We're Manchester United. We're going to do this. You've got one of the oldest, most decrepit stadiums in Europe, right? That needs a reality check. So when your premier player is Marcus Rashford, who can't get into the English team anymore, you know you're in trouble. What you've got to accept is you are actually a mid-table side. And I don't think Man United nor Sir Jim are able to actually accept that reality, because then they wouldn't be firing willy-nilly and trying to act like they're this big six team. What they should be going is, how do we get back into the top six solidly? And then how do we get back into the top four? And then how do we become part of the creme de la creme? And I'm afraid there's no rushing that process. I mean, Jurgen Klopp is a generational manager. It took him 5 years.
Yeah.
Right? Pep Guardiola didn't win first season. He's not Jose Mourinho that came to Chelsea and just turned it around. There's only one Jose Mourinho. That took 2 years. So for Sir Jim, I would say he is being a bit of a Mampara here, because he's almost wanting to just shoot back straight to the top. Mate, this is not Ineos where you can just fire people willy-nilly. Manchester United, we can see what you're doing.
And his record in football is rubbish.
Oh, it's awful.
When they bought Lausanne in Switzerland, he wanted to change the logo, and that created a massive kickback from the fans. Nice, he's done next to nothing. And I think he owns a team in the Ivory Coast as well. Well, I haven't done any research on them. But then his sailing Ineos project has gone to hell. Mercedes-Benz, he bought a third of them 2-3 years ago. They went to hell. So he seems to have a magic touch. But also, there's a line from a U2 song that goes, if you glorify the past, the future dries up. And there's a sense of entitlement about Manchester United, and like there was for Liverpool from the 80s and the 90s. And we just thought we'd carry it on. Liverpool thought they would just carry on. And everyone thought, we can't go down after Ferguson, surely. And what they didn't realize that Ferguson hadn't planned for the future. Ferguson was all about Sir Alex towards the end. He wanted that last win. And even with this an aging, creaking team that had discipline and was strong, there were players there who should have been on the way out before that. He should have started building the team for the future then.
An analog clock in a digital time, says Kevin. That is exactly where Man United are. Sir Jim Ratcliffe, what is going on, pal? You are certainly on the list for Mampara of the weekend.
Yeah, and then number one, because he promised us he was going to bring the fight to South Africa.
Who's this now?
No, play audio one.
African, I know UFC Africa is something you've wanted to do forever. Could he be the guy that takes you there?
Absolutely, positively can be the guy.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, Dreykus wins tonight, wins the title, and I've been talking about Africa, and, maybe we start looking at South Africa and start looking at arenas and possibly doing a fight down there this year.
So that's Dana White. He's the head of the UFC and Ultimate Fighting Championship. And yet, a couple of days ago, what did they announce? Where's the fight in South Africa going to be? Dreykus is going to be fighting against Strickland again at UFC 312 in Sydney, Australia on the 9th of February.
That's not in South Africa.
No, it's not. If it was Perth, it'd be closer, like it was the last time.
It's our second republic.
It's not. So, and it's just a shock, you know. I'm pissed off.
I can understand.
So one of the reasons, that was just before Drickus won the World Championship, and he wasn't back there in August. This is what he also had to say now.
Drickus du Plessis, are you planning on keeping him on the sidelines and waiting for South Africa to kind of figure out, or are you going to try and fight him sooner than I guess South Africa?
Who are you talking about? Drickus?
Yeah.
No, yeah, I'd like to fight him in South Africa.
So that's pretty blunt. That was in August.
Yeah, it's clear what you're saying.
He said that, and then because he's even claiming that because there's no roof over a stadium, people talking about Cape Town Stadium, FNB, and he said the stadiums are great, but this was his reasoning why they're not going to have it in South Africa.
You had said that Drickus was going to do his next defense in South Africa. Now his coaches are saying he's going to fight in Sydney.
Yeah.
So can you kind of clarify that?
Yeah, so you know how bad I want this. I've been trying to get this thing done. The arena situation there is tough. The place that we would have to do it at is outdoors. And you know how I feel about that. And so I've been trying to figure out the weather. One of the big things that I'm hearing out there is wind is a big problem. And we've done it a couple times, but anything that can affect the outcome of the fight makes me not even want to try. So, you know, and it's anything from wind, rain, bugs, too much humidity. A lot of things can interfere with the fight.
And would Strickland still be the guy you had committed to Strickland previously?
Yes.
Bugs, wind, humidity. They're UFC fighters. They blixen each other. Anyway, Dana White, congratulations, Mampara of the week.
We have the Coca-Cola Dome. These events don't host.
They have to move the
50,000.
cars out there.
Yeah. Have they?
We Buy Cars has taken it over.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So come on, Dana.
They can move them up one day.
And you can figure out something. Cape Town Convention Centre can move stuff. Like, what are we talking about?
It's an excuse. I think Sydney obviously offered more money.
Big time money. That's exactly. Hey, Dana White started this thing. He sold it, I think, for like $3 billion to Fox. So he's all about the money. Dana White, your Mampara of the week. Let's finish off on this. Kev's favorite player. Which player holds the record for the most caps as well as the most UEFA Champions League goals in history?
Cristiano retire already. Ronaldo, 183 caps, 140 goals.
He's the guy. Cristiano Ronaldo, a living icon. Kevin's favorite, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is it for today. Join us tomorrow as we bring you the very best from Africa and around the world.
Omni Sport Breakfast with MKT and Kevin McCollum on Omni Sport Africa.